to do is I'm going to recap a little bit. I know that today, early morning today, which I did not attend, so I don't know exactly the context, but I know that we're talking about open houses. So
Yes.
I do have a little class that I have shared with my two offices about open houses and the way I like to approach it, which it's not Friday at 5 p.m. posting the open house like a lot of us tend to do, right? We get to stop that if that's the way we're serving open houses, because open houses is a great, huge task and activity, and we get to do it right in order for us to lead leverage. So that's basically the my topic for today. And again, this is a dynamic call, so I want everybody's input. I want everybody's experience in the mix. We're going to, it's 3:05, I mean, 04, let's just, in Pacific, it's 5:05 in Central, and 6:04, I'm sorry, 6:04, 5:04, and 3:04 are the times right now. So let's give them another minute, just in
Yeah.
case, we see how many more can we get. And for those of you who just joined, I was telling everybody before that the lender apologized because she hasn't sent us the slideshow, but she
Oh,
said
yeah.
she was going to do it before the day is over. So we will upload that in my agent accounts for everybody's benefit. It's going to have her contact information as well. And again, if you want to do kind of like a one-on-one scripted call with her, she is very open to that. So just utilize the resource, okay? Doesn't matter that you're not in California. Just go ahead and utilize there.
Absolutely.
Okay, 3:05. Let me just go ahead and send a reminder also on my end.
And while you do that, I'm going to just put in a quote for today. I don't have it up, but I am going to, because I ran a little late today, ladies. I ran a little late. And
I
gentlemen.
have a quote ready if you want me to share it.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep, let me do that. Here we go here.
Hi, Abe. You're the first man on the call. Congratulations.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good, good. Nice to see you here.
Same here. I always miss the meeting because I've been working a lot.
I
That's
see. I
great.
see.
Okay, let me share. Let me know if you people see my screen.
Not yet.
Um,
There we go. It's coming.
Got it?
It's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, sorry, I'm at home and internet at this time gets a little slow. But okay, so it is official. What time is it? It's 3:07 in Pacific time, 5:07 in Central, and 6:07 in Eastern time. So thank you everyone for being here. Another Monday. We are excited. Want to clear the air again. I know that we had a great call last week. It was very, very beneficial for us to learn how to talk, and hopefully we are going to be able to pull buyers that are on the fence into action. And the lender apologized because she has not sent over yet the presentation, but she said that she was going to do it before the day is over. So as soon as I get it in my email, it's going to be uploaded to our group in my agent account, and that way you're also going to have her contact information. You can put a one-on-one call with her and maybe do a little more specific script, maybe a specific scenario that you have, right? So just don't shy away for using the resources that we're sharing, and get connected. So for those of you who doesn't know me, I am Jane Malis, and I am the broker of La Rosa Realty California and Texas. I am here with Teresa Santos, who doesn't know Teresa, right? And before I move forward, we get to sing happy birthday to Teresa because this girl is turning 15 today. So we have a quinceañera in the house. And 1, 2, and 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
you.
you. Happy birthday,
dear
Teresa. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to
to
you.
you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will take it. I'm almost 60 people. I'm almost 60. Woo-hoo.
Well, girl, you look fantastic. So God bless you. Lots of health.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because everything else you can buy, right?
That is true. That is true.
With health, we can buy everything else. So for today, we are officially in June 9. The 2025 is going really, really fast. And I want to utilize a quote basically stating exactly that urgency, right? We hear that concept often. We want to put urgency in everything that we do and everything that we get to create for our personal and our business. And this is actually the first time that I come across this particular quote, and it's by Leonardo da Vinci. And it says, I've been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough. We must apply, and be willing is not enough. We must do, right?
Yes.
If somebody can unmute themselves and please share with us what comes to your mind and your heart when you read these words. I know that I right sin on sometimes lagging and maybe I have to say I have to be very honest with you guys. Today I was in no urgency mode when I wake up this morning, and that's not a good way of opening your week, to the point that I think my mindset in the morning basically originated this huge traffic jam that I came across going to work, which made me late for an appointment this morning, which is a no-no. And I'm telling you, it was all in my mind. And I think I literally just came into fruition, right? When I was, the lack of urgency that I woke on my Monday morning today. And it really translated into how my morning started. So anybody has anything to say about urgency, where you guys are at? Again, remember, if you have evaluated your business or your personal goals for 2025 and you are nowhere near, guess what? We, thank God, have another day. And another day means that we can start over. So I don't want any absolutes. I don't want you to, oh my God, I'm done for the year. It's already June. Nothing that I said it was going to do, I'm doing it. The main point of urgency is that you get to regroup, you get to refocus, and you get to start doing, right? Because taking one step at a time will take you wherever you want to be and wherever you want to go, whatever you want to create. But sitting on the sofa whining, it's not going to do it. So we as humans have that power. No other creature in the world have that. So use it, people. If we need to reset, we're not God. We have God inside us, but we're not Him, right? We're imperfect, and we get to allow grace for us to restart over every time we need to do that restart button. Okay. Any
Yeah.
comments on that?
Well, I think that, when you really think about the quote, right? It says, I have been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough. And we all know that we can be as educated as we can be. We can know real estate inside and out. But if we're not applying what we know, right? And not willing to do what it says it does, because it says knowing is not enough. We must apply, right? Being willing is not enough. We must do. So how many here feel that they have the knowledge and they have the willingness, but they're still holding back on actually executing? Right? Because I think execution for most of us is the hardest part, because we can all have, we're taking courses, we're being, on these calls, we're learning, we're applying, but are we doing what we need to do in order for us to actually take action? Right? Because I think that that's usually the hardest. We can have all the knowledge in the world, we can have all the willingness to do it, but if we're not actually applying what we're learning, then it's a waste, right? So, but like Yemali said, we have to think that this is already June, we're mid-year. So even if you had your goals set at the beginning of the year and, you feel like, oh my God, I said I was going to sell whatever, 10 houses this year and I've only sold 2, don't beat yourself up, because that's why we need to give each other grace, right? You need to give yourself grace as well, because just because you're not at your halfway point doesn't mean that you don't reset, right? We're halfway through the year. reset, start your goals all over again, and start just pushing forward so that you're not stuck, right? And especially because I know that sometimes we set those goals, and I don't want to call them unrealistic goal, because I believe in setting the goal that you want. And if you're one step closer to that goal, you've made progress, right? Because even if you set 10 houses to sell and you only sold 1 or 2, then that's 1 or 2 steps closer to that 10. So don't beat yourself up knowing, feeling like you're not accomplishing your goals, because it's just getting closer to that goal. Okay.
Correct. And allow yourself to revisit the activities, right? Because urgency and doing is all about the activity. So let's revisit how we're spending our day. How many people we're talking to? How many hours are we investing in prospecting? How many hours are we investing in follow-up? Because prospecting is an activity that we have to do every single day. Do I do it every single day? No, right? Just like you. But it's something that it is our Bible. It is the heart and the core of our business. And we get to make peace with that, and we get to incorporate that in our calendar to make sure that it's always right there in front of us, and that we commit to that activity that is the heart of real estate or any sales, period. Is prospecting, prospecting, prospecting. Anything that you guys want to share before we move along with the call today? Anything that is speaking to your heart? Anything that you think might be beneficial in terms of urgency, in terms of where we are this year right now in June, and maybe that you yourself experienced maybe a shift, and you said, you know what, I had my aha moment, and I feel like I am back in target, and I'm buying, doing what I need to do. Anybody, just unmute. This is your call.
Yes. Please remember that this is your call. And if you guys have a win, you might have gotten a listing, you might have just sold the house, you might have done an open house, anything that you feel was a win for you this past week, or over the weekend, that would be great for you to share as well.
Yeah. Any closing? Anybody close anything on Friday? Nada. No problem. Okay, people, I'm not going to put pressure on you guys. Let's move along. Okay, so open houses. So like I mentioned, I know that in the morning call for the company, they were talking about open houses. I was not in the call, so I don't know exactly what was shared there. But when I heard that was a discussion, I thought that was a great subject matter. I don't know, again, especially because I know that we're in summertime now. We are seeing more listings all across US. The markets are getting warmer and hotter in some cases. And this activity is becoming a norm. It's becoming very more popular, and you are seeing more often the home open houses. Whether your open houses gets traffic or not, that's a whole different conversation, but it's an activity that if you work it correctly, it's an activity that is going to bring you business. And when I say work it correctly, is the reason why I wanted to put this conversation and this presentation to you all. Because guess what? An open house is not me on Friday at 5 p.m. going to MLS and say, oh, Saturday and Sunday open house from 1 to 2 p.m., making a little boost in Facebook or social media, and that's that. If you are doing your marketing for open houses on Friday, your marketing for open houses is already late, and you are not really utilizing this phenomenal tool the right way to originate and leverage clients. Because guess what? The open house is not designed for you to sell your current listing.
Correct.
And listen up. The open house is not designed for you to sell the house that you have listed. Are you going to sell it in an open house? Chances are you may, chances are you may not. So when you are organizing your week and organizing your open house, do not think that your buyer is going to come from this effort, because the chances are that it's not. So right there, if you're a new person in the business, if you have never done open houses, I want you to have clarity that it is okay if you're hosting open houses and if you have, I don't know, a group of 50 people into open houses during the weekend, just to throw a number out there, and not a single person put an offer, that is not uncommon. There's nothing wrong with your property. There's nothing wrong with that. Typically, an open house does not sell that property. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. It is suggested and recommended that you at least market that open house for a week, a whole week. And why you need to market this for a whole week? Because it's not just for the neighborhood. You are going to market this property in a radius basis because you are trying to originate leads. The reason for an open house is a lead making activity. It is not to sell that listing that you have, to thank God you have, right? So market for 7 days. If you are in a team like we, right, with PVP Connections, we are a team. Everybody, this is everyone's listing. So everybody gets to market this listing. And guess what? If we are a team of 20, right, just to throw a number out there, guess what? There are 20 times 20 efforts of marketing happening for one single property. And that's how you get to work your listings in a team. That doesn't mean that they're misrepresenting the listing. That doesn't mean that, Teresa, by marketing my listing, is saying, "Oh, I'm the listing agent." It has nothing to do with that. But Teresa is making noise on her sphere and on her channels about an opportunity, which could bring a lead to Teresa, or could bring multiple leads to Teresa, to the actual house, to the actual listing office, to the office, to whomever, right? So the more people that make noises out of that listing, right, the better for the collective, because again, this is a lead generation activity and not just selling that home. Okay, the best thing that can happen is great, that's sold by a buyer that visit that property, but chances are that that's very slim to happen. Okay. When you do social media posting or listing, I see so many people just basically sharing everything and anything about the property. You want to do teasers. You want to make people come. You want to just share enough to get curiosity, to create calls of actions and have that lead connect with you, right? So don't post a price. Don't post a price. Just say, "Hey, we have an open house opportunity in neighborhood ABC. And you know what? For example, if your seller is willing to provide credits, or your seller is willing to provide it, like in our last call, with money towards perhaps buying down the rate, you're not going to specifically quote anything about math, but you're going to say there's incentives that the seller is offering to buyers that qualify. You want to know more? Come visit it. Jamal is on Saturday from 1 to p.m. in property ABC. Can't wait to meet you. All buyers are welcome." Right? Something
Yeah,
like that.
and not only that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Go ahead.
what she said was key, right? The part about creating teasers, right? So if you're having, let's say it's a house with a pool, right? But you're not showcasing the pool. But you can say, "Hey, if anybody's looking for a house with a pool, you have to come and look at this pool. This pool is got so many whatever it is, right? It has these features that if you're looking for a house with a pool, you need to come to this open house to see this pool." Right? So something of that nature, where you're not necessarily, showing the whole house and all the pictures of the house. I used to have an agent that would not show the bathrooms, right? Would not show the kitchens. He showed maybe a little bit of the kitchen and just one of the bedrooms and none of the bathrooms. So, because he said, "I want to create curiosity," because I would tell him, "Oh my God, this bathroom, you have to come and look at this bathroom. This is the one of the best remodeled bathrooms I've ever seen since I've been doing real estate." Right. And so now that would bring curiosity to the audience to go and check out that bathroom. Right. So those are
Correct.
good things. Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that you want to do is utilize your partners, right? Partner with a lender. Lenders have so many tools, so many marketing tools out there. Some lenders have a website only property addresses that they can give you. They have lead traffic programs that are online, and with them and you in a little website, they can drive traffic and leads to you guys. So talk and get to know who is who in your area, right? I know that we have our internal lending in La Rosa. Find out what they have, and guess what? It doesn't really, it's not a bad practice to talk to more than one lender and find out tools that can allow your business to grow. So you can have multiple, right, lenders Perhaps lender, our inside lender can have a specific program that you're marketing. The other lender specializes in any other program that might be a benefit of that property. You can have that strategy also going, right? So just you want to evaluate how many ways and how many different buyers you can drive traffic to that property. And not only, again, not for that property, it's for lead generation to see what kind of buyers are out there that need your service, right? That needs to know who you are and what you can bring to the table for them, okay? So use it, pick up the phone and connect. You want to do of course your open house login and get all the data, right? You want to confirm everything and anything that you know about that property and the surrounding areas, because you want to have enough information to educate that buyer that walks on that, through those doors, right? So you want to be very well versed on that property. You don't want to have hey, do you know if school ABC, if this property is located in school ABC that is super top rated, and you're like, crickets, like, let me get back to you. That looks horrible. That looks absolutely horrible. So you have to really dominate. What are the attributes? What's the neighborhood look like? You have to even know what are things that are in developing or development stages in that city or in that area. And if you have somebody, because I don't know about your markets, but I know Texas and California, you see a lot of people that are relocating and are coming in out just because perhaps it's the tech industry in California, or just perhaps it's the oil industry in Texas. And you have a constant flow of people, right, moving. And people are coming in and want to know what's happening in this neighborhood. I don't know enough about that neighborhood. And with the information that you share, maybe again, it's not for this particular house, but they met you at that house, they liked you, they interact, they connect with you, they saw that you are so knowledgeable in that area, and they might hire you to be their buyer's agent. Okay, that's the goal of this whole effort, nothing else. And yes, if you get the offer for that property, bingo, enjoy, right? You are going to make sure that for that open house, you are following your state NAR settlement guidelines, right? So if you need to have a specific lock, you have to have specific forms, you have to have specific registrations, whatever applies to your state, make sure that you have that available for that open house. Also, you want to have buyer representation agreements right on there, the short forms, the long forms, right? Because guess what? One of the things, and this is where I'm going to take you next, is that one of the ways that you're going to work these properties, that you're going to have other listings available, right, for the same area within 1 mile radius, right? And why you're going to do this? Because guess what? If J. Mollis is walking the house and she said, oh, you know what? I like the house, but I rather see a bigger kitchen, right? A bigger kitchen. I cook 7 days a week, and kitchen is my thing. If you have a list of homes that are active, right, in the lower range, in the higher range, you can say, oh, no worries. You know what, Jamal? House ABC is around the corner. How is your afternoon? I am off from the open house in 30 minutes. I'll be more than happy to take you to see listing ABC. And right there, you got yourself a lead. Of course, make sure that you do your buyer representation and all that, even for that specific address, but you are going to take action. Because again, your role for an open house is not to be there 4 hours sitting, reading a book, listening to a podcast. Your role in that open house is lead generation. So you get to work that the right way. Questions so far? Go ahead and unmute. Or share your experiences, or share what works for you, not a problem. This is your call.
Yes, if someone can share maybe a tip, something that they would do at an open house that maybe is unique. One of the things that they talked about today in that call was, and I'll share it here in the chat if you guys don't have it, but there was a sort of like a coloring book of the house Actually, let me just go ahead, and he even gave us there's a Canva template for it, but it was sort of like a little sheet that you can give to the people that come to the open house, and it kind of makes them remember the house because it's actually a pick the front of the house, but sort of in a coloring book type of setting. And so that way they can give it to the kids, or they can take it and they can color it in, and it'll just remind them of the house they went to go visit. Something different. But anybody here that has does something really cool for an open house that maybe you think is unique to you, or unique to the open house industry?
I have a question.
Sure.
Sure.
Once you are doing an open house, as far as the marketing is concerned, how many days before the open house your marketing should start taking place?
At least 7 days, at least a week. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what,
Yeah, and
what
go ahead.
and what things needed to be adopted while you are doing marketing?
So of course, you're going to have the basic, your MLS data, so that will trigger basically all the other internet websites. But what you want to create, your campaigns in social media to lead you to that day, right? Remember, you can boost based on mile radius and based on days. And the reason why I put 7 days, because it's very affordable to do that. Of course, you can spend more money if you want, but at least if you make the effort, take the effort of the 7 day, is very cheap for you to actually boost in social media if you are in a very tight budget as an agent, right? Not everybody's in the same range of what can you offer. But if you have your listing, right, you're blessed on that, and you want to create that activity, because guess what? As a listing agent, it is your role also to maintain the seller informed of what you're doing to market that property, what activities, what things. And when you have a marketing plan and you can show your seller, hey, seller, for this open house, we did ABC, and yet no traffic and challenges nothing is happening with that property, then you get to reevaluate, right, other items about that home with your seller, because again, it's data. So you want to make sure that whatever effort you're putting out, any data you're gathering about who's visiting your home, marketing efforts, partners marketing efforts, all that, you want to have it all, detailed, saved, so you can have conversations and updates with your seller about that. So in the 7 days, what I do is, of course, I program the different, what do you call it, social media boost. I talk to my lender partners. I let them know. I find out programs, right, lending programs that might be available for that particular house. Make sure I put that in my marketing plan as well for that house. I walk the neighborhood in different ways. So I like to walk the neighborhood in advance, either the day before, just to let all the neighbors know that we're hosting that open house, and then host a like a VIP neighbors only open house before. And why we do that and why this is very effective, because two things could happen here: more listings, which is what you want. And the other thing is, who do they know, right? Who do they know that could live in this house, right? Who could be a good neighbor? And that's what you want to ask. You want to engage the neighborhood, because people like to gossip. People like to be in everybody's noses, and they want to know. And they want to say, oh my God, Jamal's house, it's listed for this. And oh my God, did you see the kitchen? It's awful. You see this. And that gossip, whether or not you like it, is marketing. Whether or not you like it, people are making, again, it's all about making noise. People are going to be talking about your home. So you want to make sure that it's out there as much as possible. And business partners, your teams, everybody gets to market this property. And this is for just lead generation. Did I answer your question?
Sophia, yeah, and I think Sophia had a question. I'm sorry, Sophia.
Go ahead,
Or
Sophia.
comment.
Hi guys, sorry, I sound a little groggy, still getting over a little bit of weirdness with the weather that's going on. But I just wanted to share. I've had great experiences with open houses as far as getting clients and getting more leads. I definitely think that it's a lead generating marketing tool, and it's just very, very effective for us agents that are helping out. And as far as the property or more properties or other properties in the area, it's really good to kind of get yourself out there and get more clients. I just wanted to share a couple of tips. I have quite a few. Again, just reiterating, just walking the neighborhood that same week. I had one in Vallejo this past weekend, and I walked the neighborhood. I had my marketing that I had gotten from Canva, all of my information from the MLS, and of course from the listing agent. Just really communicating with the listing agent and confirming any details that might seem important. And again, reinforcing what Yamali said: no pricing. Just getting them curious, like, hey. This property went on the market just right down the block. Why don't we go and check it out? I'm going to be there. And having those conversations with neighbors really reinforces like the traffic that you're going to have that weekend. So if you're putting in that work, you are going to see a really good flow. So just being prepared with that door knocking strategy, I think is my favorite thing from doing the open house. Another thing that I do is I went a separate day. And the reason why I went is because I just wanted to walk the property. And while I was walking the property, I have my Instagram connected to my Facebook. And so when I'm posting like, hey, I'm here at this property, like, check this out, like, isn't this amazing? Or I just start, nothing too crazy, but I just start, maybe it's like it has an island, like this is a perfect island, like I love this. And I kind of try and ask my viewers like open-ended questions. So like, can you imagine, yourself like waking up every morning and having coffee here? And it can kind of get them thinking of like what they want and what they don't want. Because a lot of the buyers that I have come across, it's like they don't know what they want. And if you introduce something to them, it gets them thinking and it gets them curious as to what kind of home they envision themselves in. Right. So I do social media posts when I'm walking the property and little sneak peeks. Again, I have my Instagram connected to my Facebook, so it's just really easy for me to post on both forms. I also create Instagram stories with polls. So I'll just take a quick video boomerang of the property, and then I'll put a poll and I say, the question would be like, want more information around this home? And then the first option would be like something really exciting, like show me more, with like really nice emojis. And the second one would be like, send me a DM. So whoever clicks on that, is just really easy for them to just click on it. And I know that I need to DM them ASAP with more information. Or the third one would be something like, I love the property. Maybe a different property in a different city, like another option for a different client that maybe is not looking in that specific city, but they just want another home. So then there goes my direct follow-up to be like, hey, I see you voted on my poll. Like, I'm so happy that, you're taking the first step. I'm just curious, what cities are you interested in? So it kind of creates that conversation, right? And there goes your lead. I also create on my CRM a landing page for open houses. So a lot of people like to write down their information. And of course, if you've done an open house, you've had people come in and they are a little hesitant to sign the sign-in sheet, or they're like, oh, am I going to get emails? And I'm like, hey, you know what? You asked me about the property. Disclosures are not up soon. Why don't you go ahead and sign in on my laptop, and it'll give me it'll fill you in. So as soon as disclosures are up, I'm going to go ahead and send them your way. So it's all about the language that you use with the people that are coming in to make them feel more comfortable, and making sure that you're telling them, if your goal is to find out how old the roof is, I don't have that information right now, but you know what? Give me your email and your information, and as soon as it comes up, I will send you that information that you want. Not something that you don't want, but something that you're curious about, and I'm willing to help you out with, right? So kind of just communicating why the sign-in sheet is important. Obviously, you want to disclose the NAR new laws and everything, which is always fun to explain. But using that CRM landing page for like high-tech people that just sign in really quickly on your laptop, and having that open in your open house is also really helpful. It's helped me get around a lot of leads.
And you know that Lofty has, as your CRM, if you're using Lofty, it has a open house tool that you can sync lead generation from it in your open house. So make sure that you revisit that.
Yeah, make sure you guys use that. I also use that. I copy it, gives you a URL you can put on your stories. I also do that, like, hey, doing open house, and then I'll create that link on my story, and people just and people just click on it and they'll sign up immediately. I've personalized it with the background as the property home that I'm doing that weekend, and you can easily change it. It's very easy. You can just customize it, making sure that you put your face somewhere in that landing page is also really important. And it's a really great tool. I think you guys should be, using that in open houses. It's definitely been a game changer for me, because the sign-in sheet is great and it's amazing. I always just transfer the information down there before I leave from the open house, but it's a really great tool to kind of get around and getting everybody's information, because the last thing we want is to have 30, 40 people, because of all your hard work that you've been promoting and marketing your property, but you get nothing to follow up on, right? So making sure that we use a great language to help them understand why we're collecting their information, and using any tool that will make them feel comfortable, whether it's writing it down or getting them straight to your CRM, and just transferring that information is great. And then just making sure that you follow up. So making sure that you schedule time to follow up with all of those lead generations. I actually had a client come in. They had bought in the Vallejo open house. They bought a home right up the street from my open house, and they had bought it a month ago. And her brother is looking to sell in Vallejo. So sometimes it's not always the people right in front of you. Sometimes it is they are going to bring in more clientele.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sophia, it's just, because thank you so much for that. I think Sophia needs to give us give a class on for the agents here on creating that landing page. And how she does her open house strategy. So maybe, Sophia, if you're up to it, definitely let us know. Maybe we can give a class on how you work everything from start to finish when it comes to your open house.
Yeah, you just let me know. I'm more than happy to help out and share.
Beautiful.
Claudia has a question.
Yes, Claudia. Claudia,
you're muted, Claudia.
You're muted, mommy. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear now?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Oh, okay, so I'd like to share something that I used to do to get information, and was very successful. So I used to bring a basket, and in the basket, let's see, I have a theme in the basket. So let's see if I do I put a popcorn, I put something related to movies, and I put a movie tickets, like two, right? For the movie theater, gift card. And I used to tell them, okay, if you leave your information, we're gonna have a drawing, right? And I used to do that in California. We just need to check here the rules, because I know, we can have some rules for that. I'm not sure, but in California I was able to do. So sometimes I was doing gift cards, movie theater, and I'm telling you, people was like, oh yeah, I want to do it. Can I put in my mom's name too? And I get all this information. So I just would like to share that.
Perfect.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah, having a little drawing at the to gather people's information is perfect as well. And guys, also remember to please, and I'm not sure if maybe Malis was going to share this anyway. Do not do open houses by yourself for safety reasons. Okay. Try to have someone there with you. Whether it's your husband, one of your older kids, your another team member, but try not to do open houses for safety reasons by yourself. Okay. Try to always have someone with you. I've heard a lot of horror stories. All right, go ahead.
That's actually a whole conversation about safety that gets to happen. I have plenty of stories for you guys to know, but definitely, I mean, I know that life happens and not everybody are able to have another person physically to make it happen, but you need to have a check-in, check-out system at least. So, make it upon yourself to have a check-in with another peer that is in the area, address that where you're going to be at, the hours, and of course your spouse, or you better have your family, somebody in your family that can know your address ABC, in, time out, and when you clock out, you let them know I'm out, I'm in my car on my way home, or whatever else you're going to go after. But just make sure that you have that system, at least the check-in and check-out. And also not only for open houses, but also for meeting new people, new buyers, right? You don't know if you're going to meet somebody in a house, and even if you have been interacting very well over the phone, or maybe you already did a Zoom presentation or whatever, but this is your first one-on-one contact. You want to share who that person is, what's the phone number, where you're going to be meeting, everything you know about that buyer with somebody that could be checking also, your status of in and out. Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you for bringing that, Teresa. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to say when I'm mentioning that for us to bring data, right, for lead generation and to support possible buyers that are engaged. I mean, if a buyer is out looking at houses, well, you always get the looky-loos, right? Let's be honest, but chances are that they're serious, right? That they're doing their due diligence. So, and I don't know if your experience in Florida or Georgia, but my experience in California, some of them don't want to get married yet, with any buyer representation. In Texas, they're a little more open to that, at least my personal experience with buyers. I know my agents, some of them are having challenges with buyer's agreement as well. But with that said, again, as a listing agent, and as you holding, and if you're not the listing agent, if you're holding open house, you get to be very intentional with your presentation, meaning you're going to be asking questions, you're going to get as much data as possible, and you're going to your goal is to be able to provide an aha moment for that particular buyer that's working or walking your house, because you want to separate yourself from any other agent in the rest of the open houses in that area, right? You don't want to be a scripted agent. You want to be an agent that knows how to ask questions, that have additional information to act on that same Saturday, right? If you're out and working, you already spent 4 hours in that open houses. You might have two possible buyers there that why not serving them right immediately if you have the ways to do that. So when I say, bring comps around 1 mile, and the reason why I say 1 mile, you don't want to, after 4 hours, spending in a house, you don't want to drive 5 miles or something like that on a Saturday afternoon. You might want to just keep it close just so you can continue the conversation. Remember, you're fishing, right? You're putting that bait right there. You're throwing your hook, and your hope is for that person to hire you to actually be their buyer's agent. So when you are looking for those comps, extra information of houses that are listed, that from your house that you are hosting that open house, you want to bring properties that are, in the 70% less of your listing price and 70, and properties that go up to 130% of your price, which means very high end, very a little low end, and of course you are supposed to be the middle one. Because why? Because if somebody walks a property and your house is kind of like in the high of the budget, maybe there's somebody in another property that is in a lower range in the neighborhood. You can go ahead and engage them with that, just so you can continue having a conversation about what type of loan do you have, what is your qualification. Maybe this person has never heard of an FHA 203K, and maybe this is the neighborhood they want, but guess what? This property that is priced little, it's the ugly duckly, and they might not have all the funds, but maybe with the FHA 203K, right, that because you're that expert in that verse, you can go ahead and get them engaged with that conversation, introduce them to your lender, sign a buyer's agreement, and boom, here's your new client, right? So again, you want to make sure that you have ways to provide value to any type of buyer that walks your open houses. Any questions or any feedback on this?
Yeah, and I'm just going to add a little bit. So the other thing too is that you want to make sure that in these open houses, you're the agent that follows up. That's why it's so important that if you get that lead, even if that's not the house, like, right? Yeah, Millie said, see what other houses are in that area, so that way you can possibly say, well, Mrs. Smith, this might not be the house, but there's another, because remember, if they're going to your open house, they're going to all other open houses, right? So who's going to be that different agent? Who's going to be the one that they remember of the 3 open houses they went to that day? Who's going to be the one that's going to follow up with them from the 3 open houses that they went? Who is the one that's going to take that extra step and say, hey, there's a couple other houses that are listed in this neighborhood. I'd love to be able to show you those houses if you're not working with another agent, right? So that's, you creating that difference, because that if they went to your open house, they're probably going to other open houses that same day. Now, I do have a question for you guys to get some engagement here. So what is the best time you think to do an open house? Like, if all the people here that have done open houses, what have you found to be the best time to do an open house? And you can unmute yourself and just give me a time. What day, what times?
Saturdays and Sundays between 1 to 4. That's what we
Okay.
do now.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would say Saturday between 2 and 6.
I would like, for me, it would be Wednesday and Thursdays because my father is here and he can come with me. I would
Okay.
like to to be accompanied.
Great.
Estar
And you know
acompañada.
what, Roxana? You know what, Roxana? You have an advantage because there's no one else doing an open house on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, that's fine.
So you have an advantage. Now, what time of day on Thursdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays would you do?
Whole day.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't go all day, girl. Come on. You don't want to be in an open house all day.
Yeah, no.
You
So
have
you perhaps want to consider after business hours, like, you know,
after
around
business
the
hours, when people
area.
are coming home. When people are coming home.
Yeah, business hours, except for the for noon.
It's between 4 and 6. 4
Yeah,
and 6. Because
correct.
Yep.
people get out at 4, and I mean, you can extend that to 6:30. That's the normal routine. Because if you are going to do it during the business hour, you will get very little audience.
That is
Yeah.
correct. Correct.
Mhm, yeah.
So-
And
so-
another,
go
another
ahead.
thing is that, you know, you guys have to consider that, I don't know, my experience always with open houses is that in the last hour is where you get the majority of the traffic, and be open to just leave it, right? Don't, you said 6, guess what? 6:30, if you have to extend to 7, not a problem. So just be a little flexible at the end, because I have taken 8 clients to open houses with agents, and they're like, it's 5 and 4:55, man. They're like picking up their thing, and I am walking as an agent with a client into the open house just because that was the only time that my client could go. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, it's closed. It's done. The open house is done. I'm like, is this for real? So you don't want to be
Wow.
that. You don't want to
Yeah.
be that agent.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that, you know, to be fair, right? So weekends are great, but you also have to be strategic on weekends because I think of yourself as the consumer, right? So on Saturday, what are you doing on Saturday mornings? Running
Four.
errands, right?
Four
You're running
to
errands,
six.
you're doing the
Yeah.
groceries, you're picking up the laundry, you're doing all the things that you don't have time to do during the week. So guess what other people are doing? The same thing, right? So if you have an open house on a Saturday, let's say from 11 to 2, you know, you might miss a lot of people because there's still people just running around doing their errands. So, you know, and even on Sundays, right? If you try to do it from 11 to 2, you have to remember a lot of people go to church on Sundays. So they usually go to church and maybe they go out and get something to eat. And then after that, they start looking at open houses. So, you know, you have to be strategic with your time and think of yourself as the consumer. What time would be good for me, you know, as a buyer to go to an open house? What hours will work for me? So Roxana, those weekday hours are excellent because you know what? Right now, maybe not so much in the summer, but when it's school days, right? If you have a listing that happens to be near a school, guess what? I'm putting my signs near that school where there's parents sitting there waiting to pick up their kids so that they know that there's an open house and, oh, I'm going to pick up the kids. Let me run by that open house really quick, you know, since it's right here. And so, you know, you have to be strategic with times as well, because you don't want to be sitting there for 4 hours and have nobody show up.
Correct. Any other feedback on experiences with what works best when it comes to hours, or any other idea or activity that you do in your open houses that is that has really paid off, never fails?
Well, Jim, Alex, I have a question for you. You have more experience, well, for everybody. So I have a listing that has been on the market 3 weeks in a row. And I don't know if anybody can share any other additional strategies for marketing tools that, you know, generate more interest for that property in particular.
So, question that I'm going to have for you before anything, what's the average listing date in your area before an offer? Have you done analysis?
I haven't done that.
Okay, so this is what we get to do now in this market, right? Because this is not your usual market. So you need to understand first, from day that the properties that are pending, how many days they stayed on the market, marketing, meaning are you in a 30-day before going into pending status? Are you in a 45 days? Are you in 20? Are you in 10? Right? Because that is going to give you an idea. That's one of the first things that I would look. Second thing that I would look is, of course, pricing, right? And I would not typically, I would go before pricing and then time, but because of the market that we are, pricing not necessarily is the issue. Because again, we cannot be serving listings the same way we used to do. We have to do more research about what's going on in our current data for listings, right? Because if last year I sell a house in this neighborhood and it only lasts me 20 days, and my market is not it's not allowing me to sell a property in 20 days, and now it's 40, that's data that I have to convey to my seller in order for me to put a marketing plan, and not necessarily think, oh my God, I have to start chopping off the price, right? There's no need to be desperate. But again, so usually is pricing, of course, right? Are you the highest property in the neighborhood? And if the reason is yes, why? I mean, do you have all like the top amenities? Like you are like the best house there. Like that you have accounted for everything that you're marketing for, and then people understand the reason why that property is maybe 30, 50 grand more than the average. Because if you're not transferring that message either, people are like, oh my God, this house is overpriced. And they're not really seeing why the reasoning of the pricing. So there's a few things that you get to evaluate here, not necessarily just, oh, I'm going to do an open house and all that. You need to really, it is the message that this is the best house of the neighborhood is being conveyed. That's the first thing that we get to analyze. And pricing, of course, like, are we really completely out of the market? Then we need to have conversations with the seller. And then days on the market, right? What's that? And then once you have the answers for all three, then you can go back to the seller, or you can sit down, right, and really analyze, okay, I need to definitely, this is marketing, I fail conveying the message, or the marketing that I'm doing for this area, it's not the right marketing, all of that. Make sense?
And I think that that's important, Liliana, is to know the days on market, right? Because if we know that it's taking an average of 3 months, because I think that a lot of agents have, to be honest, I think we're in a normal market. That's
exactly what I was going to say.
It's a normal market. If it takes 3 months to 6 months to sell a property, that's normal in a normal market. I think that agents, obviously as agents, we got used to after COVID, how houses were just selling in a week, and that was sometimes in 24 hours. So that's not realistic in a normal market, and we are in a normal market. So if you look at the MLS and you see what has sold and how long those were on the market, that's when you're going to know, okay, and have that conversation with the seller. Because the last thing you want to tell the seller is, I'm going to be able to sell your house in 30 days. Okay. When you haven't done your research and found out that really it's taking 6 months to sell houses in that neighborhood. So, now in 30 days, you haven't sold that house. And guess what? Your seller's going to come look at you like, I thought you said that you can sell my house in 30 days. So be very, do your research even before you get a listing. You have to do your research so that you have an educated conversation with the sellers and say, because again, we go in thinking, we sold our last house in 30 days or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And now we think we can do this with this house. So, knowing that data is super important. Like Yamali said, you have to know the data, you have to price it right, and you have to at least set the expectations for your seller of what's going on, right, in the market, so that they're not expecting that you're going to be able to sell that house in 30 days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we had the open house, everything was well, we had traffic and all that, and what we get to do, we had people that sign in our sheets or in our QR codes or in our landing page, whichever tool you're using, whether you're very techie or whether you're back to basic traditional service type of agent, nothing wrong with either or. The important thing here is that you are gathering data. Please don't tell me you're going to be 4 hours in doing an open house and you're not purposely having conversations to get information from people, right? You have
Yes.
to, you get to. There's no way around that. Unless, of course, nobody shows up, right? Which hopefully that's not your case, but it happens.
It
Um,
happens.
and sometimes it happens when literally we put the open house on Friday at 7 p.m. and then we expect a miracle to happen the next morning. So my intention of this call is so you understand that open houses, this is not a Friday night tool. This is something that if you work it intelligently, you could really create a business out of this, a business model. And this is a very strong lead generation for listings and for buyers. Because again, when you are doing I'm going to go back about the whole, having a VIP neighbors only. Why are you going to have a VIP neighbors only? Because your conversation is different. Because your approach to that group of people that are in the room is all about listings, and you are going to have data that you're not necessarily going to share with the buyers at that point that are going to be looking at the house in the regular open house, because you want to provide a service. Hey, you know what, you want a market analysis, let's have, I can give you one for free, give me your information, what's going on. I mean, how do you have questions about your equity? Do you, oh, you know what, I would like to sell my house, but I haven't remodeled my house has a leaking roof and all that. Guess what? Oh, I have solutions for you. I have a whole package of listing service that you don't even have to put a nail on your house, and I can get it all done and ready for you, right? And maybe they're not having those conversations, but you, in that 1 hour listing or neighborhood only open house that you're going to do, you can go one-on-one and really understand what's happening with the neighbors, right? And see, maybe you get 2 more listings, or maybe you get a referral from a referral from a referral, because that's
Yeah.
what you need
I
to
mean,
do. Who do you know? Who do you know?
right. And that's a great way of doing it too, because at the end of the day, remember when you're saying we're having a VIP neighbors only open house, and you're invited to this neighbors only open house. So, that already is creating like, oh, I'm
An
special. Oh, okay,
exclusive,
just for me. Oh, that's
exactly.
nice. So, that's a great way to do it. But again, the time, right? Because you're not going to have it, on a time when the neighbors are not home, right? Right now it's summer, people are on vacations, they're taking long weekends because the kids are off of school, so again, you have to be strategic. Should you be doing maybe it during the week instead of, during a weekend when, people have their kids already at home, and, so again, you have to be strategic and really think it out and put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes. When would you want to go see a property or an open house? When will you have time? Because again, if I decide to do an open house at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I know as a consumer at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm just not doing that, right? I might want to be sleeping in on Saturday morning, or, I might have church on Sunday morning. So think about, those things as a consumer and put yourself in their place. And then those are going to be the hours that you want to have your open house, when you know that people are out. The evenings during the week is perfect because people are coming home from work, right? And they're going to see these open house signs all over, and like, oh, okay, let me go check it out, maybe before I even go home. So, it's all those good things. Anyone else have any, like, things that they've done in the past that they might recommend for their open houses? No, 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 no answer is a bad answer. We all learn from each other. That's what this call is all about, for us to be learning from each other. But anyway, since nobody has anything else to say about open houses, Yema,
Before I let you go, once the open house is done, is the mother load of follow up, right? You
yes,
have
follow up.
information. You are going to follow up until they either scream at you and to stop, or until somebody died. But you're going to follow up, follow up, follow up. And if there's no answer, and comes back to, right, your interviews with that traffic of buyers that are coming. You want to do notes, specific notes that you can bring back into a follow-up conversation, not necessarily, hey, the house ABC, you say you like it or whatever. No, have a conversation about, hey, Jamalis, you thank you for visiting my open house. You mentioned that you have this type of loan. Have you talked to your lender because you want to stay in the neighborhood? Then perhaps this type of loan product might be beneficial for you and put you in a better position. You do a follow-up like that, somebody is going to continue the conversation with you, right? But if you're going to do a follow-up about, hey, did you like the kitchen in my house? Chances are that they're not going to be interested. So again, when you are handling the traffic of the buyers, you want to make notes personal, and you want to really identify, oh, this buyer actually had a family that had, I don't know, two girls that looked like elementary school, or maybe they're empty nesters, or maybe they're this and they're that, and that way you're going to be able to follow up with something that is just them and create a business relationship that is going to go beyond house ABC that was listed. Make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll see you guys next
Well,
Monday.
I
Any
actually wanted
questions
to-
or anything before we let you go?
I actually wanted to give them something to think about. Okay.
Okay.
So, and this is just a takeaway so you can think about this during the week. Okay. And then self-analyze, because remember, we have to self-analyze our business, right? Self-analyze each other, ourselves, right? To see what we're doing and not doing to go and move over to the next level, right? Especially if whether we're starting in real estate or we're seasoned in real estate, there's always growth, right? There's always the next level. Where am I going to go next? So can you identify any areas of your business that could be improved or optimized for better efficiency and client satisfaction? Okay. So can you identify, and you can write this down, can you identify any areas of your business right now that could be improved or optimized for better efficiency and client satisfaction? So even if it's, one thing that you can identify that can be improved in your business regarding your relationships and your client satisfaction to create more efficiency, what would that be? Like, what one thing at least that you can, and maybe you can bring it back next Monday to our call, write it down so that way you can share. But one thing that maybe you're not doing and that you know that you need to improve. And we all have one, at least one. We probably sometimes have three, but we at least have one thing that we're like, man, if I just, did this a little bit more, I can get better. If I just did this one thing. And guys, encouragement. One thing is moving you forward. Okay? Remember that everything that you do moves you forward. If you do nothing, that's when you're stuck, right? You're stuck in the same position, you're stuck in the same environment, you're stuck in the same situation. But if you just make one little change and do one thing, whether that's, hey, I'm going to put everything that I have, I'm going to start putting everything on a calendar, right? To get organized. I'm going to start, calling 5 people every day from my sphere. I'm going to start any one little thing that you feel that can improve you to move forward is progress, right? It's progress. But if you don't have any progress, if you're not doing anything, there's no progression. You're stuck in the same situation. So just think of one thing this week that you can do different. Just one, right? That you can implement this week, and you're just going to do that all week. Whether that's calling 5 people, whether that's making sure you post every day on your social media, whatever it is, think about one thing that you can do to move forward. Because if you don't move forward, then you're staying stuck or you're moving backwards, right? And again, give yourself grace, right? We're in that mid-year mark. Give yourself that grace to reset. It doesn't matter if your goals at the beginning of the year were to sell 10 houses and you've only sold 1. That's 1 closer to the 10. Okay. So don't beat yourself up about that. Make sure that, okay, what can I do in the next 30 days that can get me 1 more, right? 1 more house sold. What can I do? And that's progress. That's moving forward. That's doing something. And that's what I want to encourage you to do is think of one thing that you know that you need to improve and work on it this week. Work on it this week. Just focus on that. Don't try to do 10 million things, like most, I'm guilty, so guilty. I want to do 10 things at once, right? Especially us women that are here, we're we love multitasking. But, multitasking is actually not the smartest thing to do, even though it is women can multitask. But when you multitask, that means you're not focused.
Or you might not be a finisher.
Or you might not be a finisher. Correct. Right? Because you're doing so many things at once that you can never finish anything. And I'm guilty. So I'm going to be the first one to say I am guilty. But when I know that I have to do something and I just focus on that one thing, I get it done. Right? And I put everything else on the back burner. And I know, there's a couple moms here. I know when you have children, that's hard to do. But again, even if you take 1 hour a day to work on your business and just focus, just close the door, say, hubby, take care of the kids, whatever you got to do. I need an hour to work on my business. Just stay focused because, multitasking is not very productive, to be honest with you. But think of one thing this week that you're going to improve on. And then maybe you can share it next week and say, hey, I had a win. I decided to do this and it worked, and I got 1 lead or, I was able to get 10 people in my CRM. So I'm super excited that, now I'm able to add those 10 people in my CRM. Any little bit helps your business move forward. Any little bit. But if you're not doing anything, you're going to stay stuck in the same place. So just, make one move this week that's going to make a difference in your life. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
I'm super excited to have you all here again. We'll see you here next week. We're still working on this whole classes that are strictly for our VIP people that are in Ultimate. So we will be, Yemalis and I and Carmen are going to be discussing, and Daniela and Claudia are going to be discussing on some teachings that we're going to be giving aside from this Monday call, specialized training for you guys. So just keep looking forward to that. We are working on it. It's not that we've forgotten. We're just, it takes a lot of putting our minds together and scheduling it and, everybody's schedule, we have to figure out everybody's schedule. So, but thank you so much. Be looking out for that. And we're super excited. And don't forget to go out and invite someone to these calls. Remember, the Monday calls are open for all agents. So if you have someone that you want to introduce to La Rosa, invite them to our Monday calls so that they get a feel for who we are, and just let them know. You can introduce them on the call. Hey, I invited Maria, she's on this call. She's new. And that way we can make sure that we do a follow-up too, to try to get them into your team. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So, familia, you have a phenomenal and wonderful week. And remember, steps moving forward, movement, right, is what was going to lead you where we want to be, and urgency. Put some urgency in your daily routine and in your daily calendar, and let's make it happen.
Awesome. See you guys later. I'll post this recording on my agent account for those who didn't get to watch the whole thing.
Thank you.
See you guys later. Bye.